Chapter 1. In the 5th year of running Pawnshop No. 8, Emma had successfully served 99 people. Those who came here seeking a deal, regardless of their wishes, could have them fulfilled, so long as they were willing to pay the price. And once the 100th transaction was completed, Emma would be able to trade for a healthy heart for her beloved Samuel. Finally, the 100th person stepped into the shop. Emma looked up, only to see someone she never expected. Her husband, Samuel. And Emma adjusted the mask on her face, her voice hoarse as she asked, "Sir, what kind of deal do you want to make?" Without hesitation, he took out a photo. It was of his childhood sweetheart, Zoe. "I want Zoe to live a peaceful, joyful life, free of worry or hardship." The determination in Samuel's eyes pierced Emma's heart like a blade. Then, he coldly added, "In exchange, I offer my wife Emma's ability to bear children." The words struck Emma like a thunderclap. Her blood ran cold, as if she had fallen into an ice cavern. She and Samuel had been married for 3 years. Due to her heart condition, she had been unable to conceive. Samuel had risked everything to give her a healthy heart. After careful treatment and recovery, just that very morning, Emma had discovered she was pregnant. Emma choked down the sorrow that threatened to spill from her eyes and forced her voice to steady. "Sir, the world is already harsh to women. If your wife cannot have children, she will be judged and ridiculed by many. Are you sure you want to strip her of the right to be a mother?" A year ago, when Emma was discharged from the hospital, everyone had sincerely wished her a full recovery and hoped she and Samuel would soon have a child of their own. At the time, Samuel had held her hand tightly, his eyes filled with hope. "Emma and I will definitely have a child of our own." But now, only a year later, he stood before her, ready to trade her fertility away for another woman's peace and happiness. Samuel pressed his thin lips together. This is the debt she owes. If she hadn't stolen Zoe's identity back then, Zoe wouldn't have run away from home, wouldn't have been diagnosed with severe depression, wouldn't have come close to suicide. She should pay the price, sacrifice more for Zoe. And besides, it's just the inability to bear children. I won't abandon her. I won't divorce her. I'll spend my life making it up to her. Isn't that enough? Emma stood in stunned silence, her heart aching bitterly. She had been abducted as a child. Her biological parents, grieving and helpless, had adopted another baby, Zoe. For over 20 years, Zoe lived as the beloved heiress of the Song family, cherished by all, enjoying a life of luxury and privilege. And Emma? She had been sold into the remote mountains, suffering constant abuse, often hungry, poorly clothed. After enduring countless hardships to grow up, the first thing she did was search for her family. She finally reclaimed her rightful identity, but all she received in return was resentment. From her parents, and from Samuel, the man she thought loved her. They all blamed Emma's return for Zoe's disappearance and suffering over the past 3 years. Zoe had only been found and brought home a month ago. When Emma didn't respond, Samuel's expression turned cold. "What? Is the price I offered not enough?" After a brief pause, he seemed to make up his mind. "Then take Emma's most precious emotions. Drain her completely. That should be enough." Emma stared at the man before her, so familiar, yet now a stranger, with weariness flickering in his eyes, and felt a sharp pain deep in her chest. "It's enough. The terms you've offered are sufficient to complete the deal." Though she tried to keep her voice steady, a tremor still leaked through. "But I must warn you, if your wife is already pregnant, I won't show mercy. The child will be taken as well. For Zoe. Is it really worth it?" There was a trace of hope in Emma's voice. Hope that Samuel might hesitate for even a moment, that he might recall the bond they once shared as husband and wife. But Samuel merely paused briefly, then regained his composure. "For Zoe, anything is worth it. Besides, she probably isn't pregnant." His meaning couldn't be clearer. In his heart, any sacrifice was justifiable for Zoe. That kind of devotion made Emma wonder, did Samuel ever truly love her when he married her? Or was she merely easier to trade this way? After all, everyone knew the rules of Pawnshop No. 8. To complete a transaction, the price must be paid with something that comes from a blood relative or a spouse. Emma's eyes dimmed as sorrow slowly clouded her gaze. Her hand unconsciously rested on her still flat belly. She nodded. "I understand. In 3 days, Your wife's most precious emotions will be extracted, and she will lose her ability to bear children. In just 3 days, your wish will come true. If you regret it during that time, the deal can be cancelled at any moment. But once the deadline passes, there's no turning back. Chapter 2. Samuel turned and walked away without a moment's hesitation. Behind him, Emma felt a sharp, twisting pain in her abdomen. This was one of the rules of the pawnshop. The stronger the trader's desire for the transaction, the greater the impact on the person paying the price, especially when it came to what was being extracted. A phone call interrupted Emma's sorrow. Her hand trembled as she answered. A servant's voice came from the other end. The birthday party is at noon at Blue Tune. Madam, don't be late. Only then did Emma recall. Today was her birthday. She had been happy about it, looking forward to it, even. But now, everything had changed. By the time Emma forced herself to ignore her discomfort and arrived at the restaurant, the first thing she saw was a large banner hanging overhead. Happy birthday, Zoe. It read. Laughter echoed from the private room. Someone asked Samuel what gift he had prepared for Zoe. Samuel's voice was clear. Material gifts don't mean much. Today, I gave Zoe my most precious blessing. Then someone asked what he had prepared for Emma by. Before the sentence was finished, another voice interjected. Brother, and already gave her his heart. What more does she want? I've never seen anyone go as far as brother in. That was a heart. For God's sake. Now he's got an artificial one, can't even play sports. Was it worth it? Just for Emma? Emma heard Samuel and let out a low scoff. Then say coldly, she saved me once. Kept calling herself my savior like a broken record. I got tired of hearing it. So I gave her my heart. But honestly, I kind of regret it now. Emma's hand, just about to push the door open, froze. A bitter taste filled her mouth. She remembered the first time she came to Northern Jing. By chance, she had stumbled upon a car accident, Samuel's. Without a second thought, she rushed in to save him. She had just pulled him out when the car exploded. He'd nearly died. Later, when Emma was hospitalized due to heart disease, Samuel had kept it from everyone and underwent a transplant to give her his own heart. From that moment on, Emma had loved him with all her being. She poured herself into running Pawnshop No. 8. Also that one day she could find him a healthy heart in return, so he could live like a normal man. Just then, a server passed by carrying drinks, bumping Emma into the private room, straight into everyone's view. This is a birthday party for the Song family's young miss. Who invited Emma? Emma instinctively looked to Samuel, only to see a flicker of displeasure in his dark eyes. I told you we'd celebrate your birthday tonight. Why'd you come now? Zoe stood up with a smile. Emma and I share the same birthday. Let's all celebrate together. Besides, Brother Samuel bought such a huge cake. I can't finish it on my own. Emma had barely sat down when Zoe called for dozens of shots to be poured and cheerfully said, I heard that if you can finish all 30 shots in 10 minutes on your birthday, your wish will come true. One of Samuel's close friends chimed in. Brother might have been able to drink before, but ever since the surgery, he can't touch alcohol. Then someone else can do it for him. Emma should drink. Emma's heart tensed. She looked at Samuel and instinctively said, But I'm pregnant. Before she could finish, Zoe interrupted. Brother Samuel gave you his most precious heart and even married you. And now we're just asking you to drink a little. Emma, you're not going to say no to something so small, are you? Emma looked at Samuel, silently pleading for help, but he only responded mildly. It's just some alcohol. It won't hurt. The room erupted in cheers. Someone shoved a glass of liquor against Emma's lips, forcing her to swallow it. The bitter, burning liquid slid down her throat into her stomach, and Emma's mind was flooded with memories. Back when she had just come to the city from the mountains, people mocked her as a country bumpkin. Samuel had shielded her without hesitation, giving her warmth and a sense of safety. But now, the man who once swore to protect her was standing by, letting others pour alcohol down her throat, one shot after another, until Emma's stomach churned and she vomited. Even then, Samuel didn't call a stop to the humiliation. He only offered a light, dismissive consolation. Bear with it, for Zoe's birthday wish. Don't ruin the mood. By the end of that lunch, Emma was full of alcohol and on the verge of collapsing. After the final few drinks, she staggered into the restroom, clutching the sink, retching endlessly. When she looked up at her reflection, pale as a sheet, tears streamed down her face. To the empty air, she whispered, "I don't want to run the pawn shop anymore. The heart I owed him, I've repaid it." A cold voice echoed in the void. "The shopkeeper may offer their life to permanently shut down Pawnshop No. 8. But you may vanish from this world forever. Are you sure you want to proceed?" Tears fell like rain as Emma answered. 3 days from now. Extract every last feeling I have for Samuel. Then let me go. Even if it kills me, I accept. Chapter 3. Footsteps suddenly echoed from behind. Samuel's voice broke the silence. "What's all this talk about dying? And Emma, where are you going?" Emma's heart clenched. Just as she feared, he had uncovered her secret connection to the pawn shop. Zoe's falsely gentle voice followed, laced with sweetness and pretense. "Emma must be drunk and talking nonsense. Right? Brother Samuel, you should take her home. Just spend more time with me from now on, that's enough." Samuel paused briefly. "Yeah, if I'd known she'd feel this sick from drinking, I wouldn't have." "It's okay, Brother Samuel, I don't blame her. She didn't ruin anything." Zoe cut in sweetly, her voice sickeningly tender. Samuel gave a quiet hum of agreement. Then, without another word, he picked Emma up and carried her out of the restaurant. A wave of bleakness surged in Emma's chest. She was his wife, rightfully so, and yet only with Zoe's permission did she receive the slightest ounce of Samuel's care. Feigning drunkenness, Emma let Samuel carry her to the car. On the way back, she felt his hand gently rubbing her stomach, the movement cautious, almost as if he were tending to something precious. Once home, Samuel laid her carefully on the bed. Emma could no longer hold it in, tears spilled down her cheeks. She heard Samuel's voice turn anxious. "Is your stomach really hurting that bad? I'll make you something to sober up and cook some porridge." Not long after, he returned with the soup, feeding it to her himself while offering an explanation. "Zoe suffered a lot over the years out there. I just couldn't stand seeing her in pain again. You've always held your liquor well, so I figured a few drinks wouldn't be a problem. But now, seeing how sick you are, I feel terrible. I'm sorry, Emma. It's my fault. I can't drink anymore." As he spoke, his eyes were full of tenderness and guilt. He even gently wiped her tears away with his fingertip. His actions and expression made Emma feel, for a moment, that he truly loved her. Looking into those soft, familiar eyes, Emma almost blurted out the truth. She was pregnant. She knew, if she canceled the deal now, everything could still be reversed. But before she could speak, the nanny burst into the room, panic in her voice. "Sir, Miss Song was in a car accident. It looks serious." Crash. The sound of a bowl shattering. Samuel shot to his feet, visibly rattled. Emma instinctively reached out and grabbed the hem of his shirt. "Weren't you making porridge?" "Samu, I haven't eaten since this morning. Zoe's been in an accident. And you're still thinking about food?" He yanked her hand off forcefully, voice full of blame. "She didn't even finish her birthday party because of you. Now something's happened to her. And this is what you say? Emma, do you have no conscience?" For the first time, Emma tried to speak up for herself, her voice choked with tears. "She left home, that wasn't my fault. Samu, I really don't feel well right now. I just want you to stay with me." Samuel stared at her, brows furrowed, his voice frosty. "Emma, can you stop being so unreasonable? You're already my wife. What more do you want? Don't forget how much you've taken from Zoe." The bedroom door slammed shut. As she watched his retreating figure, Emma slowly curled the hand he had shaken off. This man, her one and only attachment for the past 5 years, had left her behind again. Without hesitation, soon after, Emma saw a new post from Zoe on social media. In the photo, Zoe had only a faint scratch on her arm, yet Samuel was beside her, eyes red with worry. A searing pain suddenly ripped through Emma's body. Samuel's intensified longing for Zoe's health and safety was heightening the pawnshop's toll on her. The desire behind the transaction had become even more powerful, and it was tearing her apart. Warm blood trickled down her legs as Emma collapsed to the floor, clutching her abdomen. "I'm sorry, baby." Tears fell hot and fast. "Forgive mommy for not being able to bring you into this world. A child who isn't wanted or welcomed. Life would be too cruel," she thought. If someone had to suffer, let it be her. Her baby didn't deserve it. The pain was unbearable, as if her insides were being shredded. And now, she felt her memories slipping away too. Bit by bit, a figure flickered in her mind, someone kneeling, step by painful step, climbing a seemingly endless mountain in the freezing cold. He had done it to obtain a consecrated talisman to protect her before her heart surgery. When the surgery succeeded, he had joyfully gifted her 28 cakes to celebrate her second chance at life. But now, on her 29th birthday, Emma sat alone in an empty room, waiting all night for Samuel to return. He never came, and when she finally decided she needed to go to the hospital, she ran right into the nanny from the night before. Zoe was with her. Before Emma could even react, a heavy blow struck the back of her head. Darkness swallowed her, and she lost consciousness, collapsing to the ground. Chapter 4. Emma was jolted awake by the sharp ring of her phone. As her eyes fluttered open, she saw Zoe, bound, covered in blood, lying on the ground. Before she could process what was happening, thunderous pounding shook the door. Her phone screen showed countless missed calls from Samuel, and even from her parents, who hadn't contacted her once in 5 years, not since refusing to let her return home. Emma's heart filled with unease as her eyes landed on a whip tossed aside nearby. All she remembered was losing consciousness after seeing the nanny, the very one who had told her to attend the birthday party at Blue Tune, and Zoe's smug, triumphant face before she blacked out. But now, Zoe lay injured before her. Samuel's call came again. As soon as Emma picked up, his furious roar nearly shattered her eardrums. "Emma, if you dare touch a single hair on Zoe, I'll end you." Before his voice had even faded, a loud bang echoed. The door had been kicked open. Samuel stormed in and flung Emma against the wall. Her bones collided with the brick, sending a dull crack through the air. Emma staggered to her feet, just in time to see Zoe curled up in Samuel's arms, sobbing like a fragile blossom in the rain. "Brother Samuel, I thought I'd never see you again. Tie her up." Samuel's eyes were bloodshot as he barked at the bodyguards. "Force her to confess what she did to Zoe." From behind Samuel's shoulder, Emma caught a glimpse of Zoe's eyes, smug, gleaming with provocation. At last, Emma understood this had all been a carefully orchestrated trap. "Samu, we've known each other for 5 years. You know I'm not this kind of person." "Shut up!" Samuel cut her off. Refusing to listen, Zoe clung to his neck, her voice dripping with false guilt. "Don't blame Emma. It's my fault. I shouldn't have asked you to help me after the accident. Lock her up. No food. No water. Let her suffer the way Zoe did." Samuel held Zoe as he turned to leave, venom dripping from his gaze. "Let her pay." Emma tried to explain, but her body was suddenly racked with searing pain. Samuel's desire to make her pay, his overwhelming wish for Zoe's peace, was strengthening the pawnshop's toll on her. Right before his eyes, Emma coughed up a mouthful of blood. Even the bodyguards looked startled and called Samuel's name in alarm. But Samuel didn't even turn around. Still faking it? Zoe didn't make a sound with worse injuries. "What gives you the right to cry out?" The door slammed shut, plunging her into darkness. Emma curled into a corner. Then, above her, came the nanny's shrill curse. "Steal my daughter's man? Emma, you deserve to die." In her haze, she vaguely heard Zoe's delicate voice through the phone. "Brother Samuel, I think Emma really did cough up blood. Are you really not going to check on her?" Samuel's voice was icy. "It's just blood. She'll live, but she's still your parents' biological daughter." "Brother Samuel, have someone bring Emma to me. If she's willing to apologize, I'll forgive her." That light, casual sentence was enough to get Emma dragged to the hospital. On the way, a distant, otherworldly voice echoed in her mind. "Tomorrow night is your final deadline. Given how dutifully you've served the pawnshop, I'll offer you one last chance. If anyone, lover or family, truly loves you by tomorrow night, I can spare your life. I'll help you leave, give you a new identity, and a second chance at life." Emma thought for a long time and finally agreed. They were her biological parents. They must love her. And Samuel, he had once given her his heart. She believed she wouldn't lose. Chapter 5. But the moment Emma stepped into the hospital hallway, a slap struck her face hard. The sound echoed through the empty corridor. She staggered, catching herself on the wall as blood trickled from her lip. "How dare you hurt Zoe?" Madame Song's red manicured finger pointed inches from Emma's nose. I deeply regret ever letting you step into this family. You don't deserve to be my daughter. Beside her, Oscar wore a grim expression as he pulled his wife back. I told you, a wild child raised in the mountains can't be tamed. We never should have taken her back. If not for her return, Zoe wouldn't have run away. Emma clenched her fists so tightly her nails dug into her palms. I didn't kidnap Zoe. We can call the police. Shut up. Another slap landed. Zoe said it was you. How dare you lie? Get in there now and kneel, apologize to Zoe. As she was shoved from behind by Madame Song, the nanny stepped forward, eyes gleaming with calculation. Master, Madam, maybe the DNA tests were fake all along. How could someone like her be the real daughter of the Song family? In truth, dozens of DNA tests had confirmed Emma as the biological daughter, but the nanny's words still made both parents frown. Emma glanced at the very woman who had helped Zoe frame her, remembering the words whispered in her ear before the hospital. Realization dawned. She grabbed her mother's wrist in desperation. Dad, Mom, someone must have deliberately switched us back then. Maybe it was. If that's true, I'd like to thank whoever did it. Madame Song yanked her hand away, her face contorted with disgust. Otherwise, how would I have gotten a daughter as sweet as Zoe, instead of a troublemaker like you, who brings nothing but disaster? At that moment, the ward door opened, and Samuel stepped out. His eyes flicked to the slap mark on Emma's face. His throat moved slightly, but his words were cold and firm. You deserved it. Get in there and apologize to Zoe. Oscar raised his hand in a dismissive gesture. Split the shares your grandmother left you, half goes to Zoe. And that ring, return it to her. It's a Song family heirloom. Emma's fists trembled at her sides. But I'm your daughter. Madame Song ignored her. Oscar frowned. You're nothing but a liar and a disgrace. Thank God you don't bear our name. Emma said nothing, only looked back one last time at the people who claimed to be her parents. Her grandmother had told her on her deathbed, when her parents first found out they were pregnant. They were so overjoyed they nearly lost their minds. When she went missing, they were ready to kill themselves from grief. If they hadn't adopted Zoe, they would have taken their own lives to follow her. Clinging to that thought, Emma couldn't help but ask, Dad, Mom, if I died, would you shed a single tear for me? Before she could hear an answer, the nanny's voice shrieked from the ward. Miss Song's throwing up. Master, Madam, come quick! The couple's faces turned pale. They shoved Emma aside and rushed into the room. Samuel stumbled in the crowd and instinctively grabbed her arm, only to freeze when he got a closer look. Emma's face had gone ghostly pale, sweat pouring from her chin, her body swaying unsteadily. What's wrong with you? Why do you look like this? Are you sick? Emma, don't scare me. Chapter 6. Seeing the genuine concern in Samuel's eyes, Emma opened her mouth, ready to finally tell him everything. But before she could speak, Zoe's shrill cries burst from the hospital room. Samuel's expression instantly changed. The worry in his eyes vanished, replaced by urgency. He grabbed Emma and pulled her toward the room. If you're not feeling well, take some medicine later. Right now. Come in with me, you still owe Zoe an apology. The pungent smell of disinfectant stung her nose. Emma stumbled as she was dragged in, staring at Zoe on the hospital bed, and suddenly let out a bitter laugh. You want me to apologize? But I didn't do anything, I never even touched her. But several people saw you take Zoe away. Samuel's eyes blazed with fury. He gripped her shoulders tightly. I gave you my heart back then, not so you could become a murderer. Emma's pupils contracted. The blend of disinfectant and the cedar scent of Samuel's cologne became suffocating. She bit her tongue hard, the taste of blood flooding her mouth. She looked at her impatient parents and finally rasped, I'm sorry, but Mr. and Mrs. Song weren't satisfied. Haven't eaten? Say it louder. Emma truly hadn't eaten in over a day. Outside, the rain poured violently. She stared at the ticking clock on the wall and forced her voice louder. I'm sorry. From the first apology to the 99th, her throat felt like it had been torn open. At last, Samuel spoke, but not to defend her. Zoe, do you forgive Emma? Zoe lowered her eyes, twisting the blanket in her fingers. Mom, Dad. Sister probably just had a moment of confusion. Let her go home and reflect. I just want you all to stay with me today. She paused. then turned to Samuel, and brother Samuel, you didn't eat cake with me last night. You have to make it up to me today. In an instant, everyone crowded around Zoe, fussing and comforting her. No one spared Emma another glance. She returned home, dazed, and pulled out old photos of her and Samuel. The moments captured flickered through her mind like a film reel, but she couldn't recall the details anymore. She knew this was the cost of the transaction. In one photo, Samuel held her in a field of flowers. Behind them a massive hot air balloon with their names on it. Was that their anniversary? Her birthday? Another showed her crying on the roadside while Samuel knelt before her, tying her shoelaces. In another, he stood in the kitchen making soup. At their wedding, they poured champagne together. He kissed her eyes, love overflowing in his gaze. And under a huge wishing tree, Samuel's wish read, "We will have a child." Suddenly, pain tore through her abdomen. Like a hammer blow, Emma tossed the photos into the flames and pulled out her pawnshop journal. She remembered, on the very first day she took over the shop, a golden shadow in the void had said to her, "For every 100 trades you complete, you may fulfill one wish, any wish." At the time, she wrote down 10 wishes in her journal. Give Samuel a healthy heart. I owe him that. Give my mother healthy eyes. Her vision is poor. Heal my father's legs. They were injured in a car accident. Ensure Samuel's business goes smoothly. Let my parents be healthy, so I can grow old with them. May my parents laugh more and live peacefully. Every wish was for others, not a single one for herself. She had only ever wanted a small place in the hearts of the people she loved. But in the end, she got nothing, and now, she was out of time. Tears soaked the pages of her journal. The pain in her belly intensified until she finally collapsed. When she woke again, it was already the next morning. The door slammed open. Samuel burst in, eyes filled with unmasked worry. The nanny found you passed out while cleaning. Emma, what's wrong? Has the doctor come? What did he say? Emma saw the sweat on his forehead and the pale color of his lips. He must have sped all the way back. His panic, his concern, they were so real. But this time, Emma felt no warmth. She lied. Indifferently. The doctor couldn't figure it out. But I heard there's a mysterious place in City J, a place called Pawnshop No. 8. They say it can cure any illness, if you're willing to pay the price. I was thinking. Before she could finish, Samuel's face darkened. He cut her off sharply. You actually believe that superstitious nonsense? Who would go to a place like that to make a trade? Don't let your mind wander. Chapter 7. Sensing the harshness in his tone, Samuel quickly softened his voice. I'll take you to a doctor. You feel feverish. Emma lowered her gaze, remaining silent. With a creak, the door opened, and Zoe walked in, all smiles. Oh no, Emma, yeah. I didn't know you were this sick. If we'd known, we shouldn't have gone to the beach yesterday. But then again, lucky you didn't come. If our parents had seen you, they probably wouldn't have had the appetite to eat. She paused deliberately, glancing at Samuel with a hint of provocation in her eyes. By the way, Samuel, that soup you made during camping, it was amazing. I heard it's Emigia's favorite. Too bad I didn't save her any. Emma's heart trembled. She lifted her gaze to Zoe, who wore a proud smirk. Oh, were you two just talking about Pawnshop No? 8? My luck has been unreal lately. My injuries healed fast. And that jewelry design I casually sketched a year ago just won a major award. So many good things, I'm starting to think it's all thanks to that place. Zoe blinked innocently. Samuel, you know what they say, better safe than sorry. Maybe you really should take Emigia there. Emma's chest tightened. Zoe, she knew something. Zoe, don't say nonsense. Samuel chided gently, brows furrowed but voice sweet as syrup. You've suffered enough. You deserve happiness now. A cold wave swept over Emma's heart. She gave a bitter, mocking smile. So, she was just the sacrifice for Zoe's perfect life? Zoe's smile only widened. Guess I was overthinking it. Don't mind me, Emigia. Seeing you like this really breaks my heart. Let me make you some soup to apologize. Samuel glanced toward the door and spoke indulgently. Zoe's never cooked before. I don't want her getting burned. Besides, you only like my soup. I'll make you some later. Just rest for now. As he spoke, he pulled a ring box from his pocket. Almost forgot, your birthday gift. This ring matches the necklace I gave you last year. Same designer. Do you like it? A deep, bitter ache settled in Emma's chest. She could hardly remember what Samuel had said or done the day he gave her that necklace last year, only that she had been happy, so happy. But now, with tears brimming and memory fading, all that remained was sorrow, and the dull throb in her belly. She touched her stomach and smiled through shimmering tears. There were 10 Emmas. Maybe she really was going to lose. After Samuel left for work, Emma donated all of her belongings. She tried to erase every trace of her existence, no matter the outcome. She wouldn't stay in City J. She was done with family and love. At noon, Samuel still hadn't returned. Instead, Zoe arrived, carrying a bowl of soup. Still all smiles. Emma, yeah. I used 4 Emmas worth of effort to make this. Come on, drink it while it's hot. Or should I feed you? The bitter, nauseating scent hit Emma like a wave, making her stomach churn. She pushed Zoe away. No need. We're not that close. The next second, Zoe shoved her onto the bed and wrapped her fingers tightly around her throat. Zoe grinned viciously. Emma, yeah. How can you not take care of yourself? Samuel still needs your body and your emotions to trade for my perfect future. Her nails dug into Emma's skin, venom gleaming in her eyes. Honestly, I do feel a little sorry for you. So what if you fought your way back? No one in this house likes you. No one trusts you. You shamelessly seduced Samuel and married him, so what? The one he loves is me, not you. After today's trade is complete, what difference does it make if you're dead or alive? So she did know about the deal. Emma's heart dropped. Zoe smirked. That's right, I know. Not only that, it was my idea. The moment Samuel learned he could trade your feelings and fertility for my lifelong happiness, he didn't even hesitate. Don't be sad, Emma. Just drink the soup. It's flavored with the devotion of the dog you raised for 5 years. Better drink it while it's hot. Before Emma could react, scalding hot soup was poured directly into her mouth. Chapter 8. Agonizing pain consumed her. Emma ignored the scalding burn on her face and summoned all her strength to shove Zoe away. Why are you doing this? You lived my life, enjoyed my identity for years. 3 years ago, I didn't kick you out. You left on your own. Our parents begged you to stay. Crying! What happened to you these past 3 years had nothing to do with me. So why couldn't you even spare my dog? Emma screamed, her voice hoarse with despair and fury. That dog, Anin, was the one she and Samuel adopted 5 years ago. Though it couldn't speak, Anin would bring her its favorite toy when she was ill and sit loyally by her side. When she cried, it would gently lick her tears and nuzzle its fuzzy head into her arms, never leaving her alone. Anin wasn't just a pet. It was family, her dearest, most faithful companion. And now, Zoe had cooked it. Worse, she'd forced that soup into Emma's mouth. Emma, can you guess what that dog looked like when it died? Zoe's voice dripped with mockery. Do you think it was still pathetically waiting for you to come save it? Her grin twisted into something grotesque. Oh, and one more thing, she whispered, leaning in. These past 3 years, I had it easy. All that talk of hardship, assault, almost getting violated, total fiction. My little drama, all planned out. And would you believe it? They all bought it. In the end, it's your fault. You came back and tried to take what was mine. Why couldn't you just stay dead in the countryside? Emma froze. 2 lines of blood-tinged tears slid down her cheeks. So this was what Samuel meant by repaying Zoe's suffering. He sacrificed Emma to protect a poisonous, manipulative liar. It was both pitiful and absurd. Her heart roared with grief and rage. Blood spilled from her mouth as she tried to rise and drag Zoe down with her. But before she could, Zoe suddenly shifted. Her arrogance vanished. She poured the soup all over herself, then dropped to her knees. Emma, yeah. Please stop hurting me. I promise, I won't chase after Brother Samuel anymore. I won't fight you for Mom and Dad's love. Just please stop yelling at me. Tears poured down her face. She was a master of the scene. The door burst open. Samuel stood there, stunned by the sight of Zoe kneeling in soaked clothes. He dropped the bouquet and gift box in his hands, rushed forward, and pulled Zoe up, fury blazing in his eyes as he glared at Emma. Zoe spent all morning making you that soup. And this is how you repay her? You're sick. And I came home early to celebrate your birthday. And this is what I walk into? Emma, you don't deserve kindness. She doesn't deserve it? Her child, her emotions, her body, all used to buy Zoe a glorious future, and she didn't even deserve love? Bitter salt stung her lips as she stared at Samuel, eyes bloodshot and trembling. Samuel, do you know what was in that soup Zoe made? Samuel's face stiffened. Stunned, Zoe clutched her arm, tears spilling. No. Samuel, that dog, it bit me out of nowhere and ran into a wall. It died. I heard dog meat is nourishing. So I just wanted to help Emma recover. Emma laughed. A broken, empty sound. The grief in her eyes struck something deep in Samuel's chest. He faltered, voice dry and brittle. No matter what, the dog's dead now. Zoe only did it for your health. She didn't want to waste it. I'll go buy you another one tomorrow. One just like an okay? The last flicker of light in Emma's eyes vanished. She remembered the day they'd adopted an. She had said through tears that the dog was just like her, unwanted, unloved. And Samuel had hugged them both, swearing they would be his most precious family. But now, to him, it was just a dog, dead and replaceable, just like her. Pain tore through her like wildfire. Emma lowered her head, voice quiet and firm. No need. An in is an in. And besides, there would be no tomorrow. Samuel suddenly panicked. Then I'll go now. I'll get one right now. Just wait here. I'll be right back. He turned to leave, his back trembling slightly. Zoe followed close behind, but not before shooting Emma a mocking, triumphant smirk. Blood had soaked through Emma's dress, staining it a deep, dreadful red. Waves of pain surged through her. She clutched her stomach, nails digging bloody grooves into her own arm. So this is what losing feels like. There's no one left worth staying for. Baby, Mommy's taking you away now. Her body collapsed onto the bed. Darkness swallowed her vision. And then, Ryan's voice echoed from the void. Reproductive and emotional severance complete. A sharp pain burst in her chest. But Emma had already forgotten what heartbreak even felt like. Ryan's voice continued gently. Master, it's time to leave. Chapter 9. After leaving the house, Samuel rushed straight to the pet stores. He searched through one after another across all of City J, his urgency mounting, but still found nothing. Finally, he arrived at the city's largest pet store. Desperation plain on his face, he threw down a card without hesitation. Find me a white dog. Fast. I need it immediately. The clerks didn't dare delay. They quickly brought out a series of expensive white breeds. But no matter how many dogs they showed, none looked even remotely like an in. Samuel's face grew darker by the second. A clerk finally ventured a question. Sir, may I ask what breed you're looking for? We carry the most complete selection in City J. Surely we can find the right one. Samuel's mind flashed back to something Emma once said. Samu, even though it's just a mutt, once we give it a name and take it in, it'll never be a homeless stray again. Gritting his teeth, Samuel increased the reward and pulled out a photo of an in. Go, all of you, search every corner of City J. I need a dog that looks exactly like the one in this photo. Zoe caught up to him, wrapping her arm around his with feigned concern. Samuel, don't worry. Emigia is a song heiress now. The in family's wife. Pampered by you. A dog dying, what does that matter to someone like her? Before, Samuel might have agreed. Emma had caused so much trouble for Zoe. It only seemed fair she suffer a little too. But now, every time he recalled the calm, disappointed look in Emma's eyes before he left, his heart began to panic. No, this time it's different. An in meant everything to Emma, so he had to bring back a dog that looked exactly the same. Unable to sit still, Samuel finally joined the search himself. Zoe clung to his side, pretending to help. Eventually, after searching through an entire Emma's worth of effort, he returned home with a small white dog that looked very similar. The moment he stepped through the door, Samuel anxiously called out for Emma. I found it! We'll name this one an in too. Emma, come down, come see. Just then, the housekeeper stepped out of the bedroom and rushed over. Mr. In, you're finally back. Madam, she was pregnant for over a month, but she miscarried. The bed was soaked in blood. I went downstairs to call an ambulance, and when I returned, she was gone. I kept trying to call you, but I couldn't get through. Samuel's world froze. What did you say? He grabbed the housekeeper's arm, nearly roaring. What do you mean she was pregnant and had a miscarriage? Emma was pregnant. Why didn't anyone tell me? The housekeeper looked at him, confused. She didn't tell you? She told me, said she wanted to surprise you on her birthday. She thought you'd be really happy. Samuel's eyes were wide with disbelief. His face turned ghostly pale. He shoved the housekeeper aside and ran upstairs in a panic. He threw open the bedroom door. What greeted him was a blood-soaked bed. Emma, don't scare me. Come out. His voice trembled, echoing through the empty room. Emma, stop this. It's just a dog. It's not like I could have changed that. But I found one exactly like it. Come see. Don't be petty. Your wallet and ID are still here. Where could you even go? Samuel searched every corner of the room. As he spoke, his heart sank into real fear. Zoe walked in and said casually, Samuel, isn't today the third day? Could it be the people from Pawnshop No? 8 came to take Emma away? Samuel immediately denied it, but his voice lacked confidence. No, impossible. I never said I was trading Emma herself. She can't have been taken. His words abruptly stopped, because suddenly, he remembered the trade included the child, and Emma's deepest emotions, and at the time, he hadn't known she was pregnant. Just then, the bedroom door opened. Chapter 10. Samuel's heart leapt. He thought it was Emma, but it was only the housekeeper. Sir, have you found Madam yet? When I went to call for help, she was so pale. She had scratched herself from the pain. I've never seen someone in so much agony. I'm really worried. Samuel trembled. His heart flooded with anguish and regret. He snapped at her. If she was pregnant, you should have told me. You were supposed to be taking care of her. How could you not know? The housekeeper stepped back in fright, her voice shaking. It was Madam. Madam told me not to say anything. She only found out herself 3 days ago, on her birthday. She said she wanted to tell you that night when you celebrated with her. She said, you'd be really happy. 3 days ago. Why did it have to be 3 days ago? Samuel's face darkened, eyes turning terrifyingly cold. What had he been doing that day? He had traded Emma's emotions and their unborn child for Zoe's lifetime of happiness. He had spent that day celebrating Zoe's birthday, and he hadn't come home. He'd been with Zoe when he should have been with his wife. Zoe's eyes sparkled with triumph. She feigned concern and walked over, gently holding Samuel's shaking hand. Samuel, don't worry. Maybe Emma just went to the hospital, or maybe she just needed some air. She'll come back in a few days. Tonight's the jewelry design exhibition. You promised to attend with me. Let's go pick a dress. Don't worry about Emma anymore. You spoil her too much. If she'd just told you earlier, she wouldn't have lost the baby. Maybe it's time to give her some space. Samuel's eyes turned colder than ever when Zoe tried to pull him away. He shook her off sharply. Zoe, Emma's already repaid everything she owed you. From this moment on, you're never to step into this house again, because seeing you will make Emma unhappy. Zoe was stunned. For a moment, she wondered if she'd misheard. She had always believed she was the one Samuel truly cared about. She tried to make him explain, but he had already stormed out of the room. He barked orders to the staff. Search for Madam. You. Go to the Song residence. You too. Check every hospital. And he was going to Pawnshop No. 8. To demand her back. He had only traded Emma's emotions, not Emma herself. The shopkeeper had no right to take his wife away. The car sped through the streets. Samuel pressed harder on the accelerator, needing to go faster. Faster. His chest throbbed with a deep, suffocating ache, one that threatened to drown him. He had only wanted to erase Emma's painful past, the toxic family ties. That was all. And yes, Emma had undergone a heart transplant. Her body wasn't suited for pregnancy. If he had known about the baby, how could he ever have used it in a trade? He arrived at Pawnshop No. 8, but the place was deserted. Only a janitor remained, sweeping the empty building. A wave of dread swept over Samuel as he rushed in and grabbed the janitor's arm. Where's the owner? The janitor flinched at his frantic appearance, pushing him away. She left 3 days ago, right after finalizing a trade. I got a notice that night. The pawn shop is permanently closed. No further transactions. The owner said she'd fulfilled her final wish. She's going somewhere far away, and won't be coming back. Samuel's pupils contracted violently. Pawnshop No. 8 has been open for 5 years. It can't just close like that. And why? Why 3 days ago? Terror clawed at him as he asked in a trembling voice. Who was your owner? Why did she close the shop? The janitor answered truthfully. She was a beautiful young woman, not very old. She once told me, if she completed 100 trades, she could make one wish come true. Said she wanted to give the man she loved a healthy heart. Sounds like a lucky guy. Huh? Samuel's face turned deathly pale. Only then did it hit him. He had been this agitated for hours, yet his artificial heart hadn't given him any pain. He placed a hand over his chest. The realization hit him like a thunderclap, piercing to the bone. The shopkeeper was Emma. She had heard every word of his trade, and in his mind, one sentence resurfaced like a curse. If you regret it within 3 days, the deal can be cancelled. But once time is up, there's no turning back. Samuel collapsed to the floor, unable to stand. His vision swam, and in that haze, he saw a familiar figure in the distance. Emma. He reached out his hand, desperately trying to grasp that fleeting silhouette. Chapter 11. But the figure Samuel reached for was Zoe. She stared in disbelief at the blood on his body, at his ghostly pale face, clinging to his arm. She pleaded anxiously. Samuel, Emma's just hiding on purpose. Look at you, you're pushing yourself like this. Your heart can't take it. She's always so difficult. You gave her your heart, and she still goes out of her way to provoke you. Before she could finish, Samuel forcefully shook her off. Mentioning the heart only deepened his anguish. He clutched his chest and said bitterly, every trade she made all these years, she did it thinking of this heart. So when Emma heard the terms of the trade, when she heard I was using her feelings, her fertility, for someone else, how much must that have hurt her? And yet, she never once exposed me. 3 days. Emma had given him 3 full days to take it back. Suddenly, a car horn blared outside. Each honk made Samuel instinctively turn toward the sound, thinking, hoping, praying it was Emma returning. But out of the car stepped Oscar and Madame Song. They walked in one after the other. Madame Song was the first to speak, still as impatient as ever. What's with Emma now? She's already been officially recognized as our daughter. All I did was ask her to return that ancestral ring her grandmother gave her, and she sent everything back. Oscar looked just as annoyed. I didn't even ask for all her shares, just half, to give to Zoe. Who knew the girl would transfer all of them? Neither of them seemed pleased or grateful. In fact, Madame Song muttered resentfully, if she really knew her place, she wouldn't have insisted on being found back then. If not for her, Zoe would have never left, wouldn't have suffered. Zoe, ever the actress, gently took their arms and cooed, Mom, Dad, don't be mad at her. She probably ran away just out of spite. She's probably just craving love. Oscar snorted. Craving love? She's a song heiress and the family's daughter-in-law. What's there to crave? Dad, don't say that. I mean, Emigia was probably just spoiled. That's why she acts out. But right now, finding her is more important. I heard she even faked a miscarriage to mess with Samuel. His heart's acting up. He even coughed up blood earlier. Zoe's words might once have swayed Samuel, but now they only made his blood boil. He turned on the Song family and roared, Emma is your daughter. She wasn't craving love. She deserved it, your love. And it wasn't a fake miscarriage. Our child really died. Samuel's entire body trembled. It hurt to even speak. The realization crushed him. Emma had learned everything. And yet she still hadn't left. She had stayed, silently enduring, waiting for him to choose her. But she left, because the 3 days were up. And he could have stopped her. He could have saved her. Just then, as if the universe responded to his desperation, the housekeeper called. Sir, a lot of Madame's things are missing from the villa, but I found her journal, and a letter written to you. Samuel's eyes lit up with a flicker of hope. He dropped everything and rushed back to the villa. He stormed into the study and grabbed the letter with trembling hands. When he opened it, each word struck his heart like a hammer. Chapter 12. Samuel, forgive me for calling you this way one last time. I once believed you were my salvation because I carried your heart. I thought I had to return a healthy one to you. no matter what. But just as I was one trade away from fulfilling that wish, you appeared. You always believed that Zoe's misfortune was my fault, so I spent years haunted by guilt, until the day I heard the truth with my own ears. It was all a carefully laid plan, Zoe and her birth mother. She stole me, abandoned me in the mountains, then brought her own daughter to my parents. And when I finally returned, Zoe pretended to leave, staging her own drama. She did it all to reclaim what I had, my family, my love. But I don't blame anyone, because you, and my parents, you all chose to believe her without question. You gave her unconditional, blind favoritism. Samuel, it was you who let her pull you away from me at any moment. It was you who handed her the knife, the one that killed Anan. Because of her, you married me as part of a lie. Because of you, I became the pawn in a trade at Pawnshop No. 8. Do you know, Samuel? In those 3 days, all it would have taken was for one of you to truly love me, even just a little. Then I wouldn't have had to leave. But in the end, I lost. My only wish is this, whether in this life or the next, Emma and Samuel never meet again. Each word dug into Samuel's heart like a nail, and by the end, he choked on the metallic taste of blood, swallowing it down in agony. He wanted to find Emma, to hold her hand and tell her it wasn't a lie. Marrying her was never a lie. He had given her his heart. That alone should have proven how deeply he loved her. He had only done the trade because the cost demanded it be something precious, his dearest love or kin. But Emma left, believing she was unloved. Samuel wiped the blood from his lips, breath ragged, and summoned the housekeeper and assistant. Go, find out exactly which nanny swapped Emma and Zoe all those years ago, and investigate where Zoe lived abroad, everything she did, and dig into the night she came back, the one where she was almost assaulted by those gangsters. That night, Emma had been running a high fever. That's why Samuel didn't show up to protect Zoe in time, and it almost led to Zoe jumping off a building. That was why he felt guilty, why he gave Zoe everything, why he buried Emma in trade after trade to compensate for someone else's pain. Back then, when he climbed those 9,999 steps to the temple for Emma, the abbot had told him, accumulate enough merit for the one you love, and in the next life, she will be happy. He had thought Emma's life was already too full of suffering, so he tried desperately to balance the scales for Zoe. Now his heart felt like it was being deep-fried in oil. He turned to the journal, and the pain only grew. Right then, Oscar's call came through. Samu, still no word from Emma? Tonight's Zoe's award ceremony. If she doesn't show up, people will think we're favoring Zoe and don't care about our real daughter. Samuel's bloodshot eyes narrowed. A cruel smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. And just then, his assistant returned, dragging along the gangster who had almost assaulted Zoe that night. Samuel clenched his jaw. His voice was cold enough to freeze. Good. I'll attend the award ceremony tonight, and I'll bring the perfect gift with me. Chapter 13. The moment Samuel hung up, he lunged forward and punched the gangster square in the face. Before the man could recover, Samuel kicked him hard in the stomach as the thug collapsed and coughed up blood. Samuel grabbed him by the throat, eyes bloodshot with rage. Talk. What deal did you have with Zoe? If you lie, I swear, I'll end you. And as Samuel listened to each word that spilled from the thug's mouth, the light in his eyes dimmed, replaced with a cold, stormy darkness. The fury inside him surged to the brink, but he forced himself to hold back. He waited in silence until night fell, then finally made his way to the award ceremony. Backstage, Zoe was already dressed in a glamorous gown. Madame Song herself helped her put on a necklace and ring, both of which had been returned by Emma. The Song family's heirloom ring. Our Zoe really is the child we raised, graceful, talented, just perfect, Madame Song said with pride. Oscar nodded in agreement. Exactly. She takes after you. Not like Emma, stubborn, always lying. She keeps claiming she suffered so much. Who knows what's true anymore? Her adoptive home couldn't have been that bad. Zoe tilted her head, feigning curiosity. Dad, how would you know? Madame Song chimed in with a laugh. Because your father went there himself. They had a 2-story house. Cars worth hundreds of thousands. They had several sons. Emma was their only daughter. There's no way they didn't spoil her. The whole village said she lived like a princess. But then she had the nerve to act pitiful in front of us. Oscar frowned. She's still refusing to show up. We've spoiled her too much. Madame Song nodded in irritation, but added, still, maybe we should throw her a belated birthday party later. She is our daughter. After all. Before Oscar could respond, Zoe suddenly grabbed her head in pain. Mom, Dad, last time when Emma hired those guys to attack me, I had to hide in ice water to protect myself. Just thinking about it gives me headaches. But I won't blame her. After all, she is your real daughter. Her act of being understanding only made the Song couple resent Emma more. At last, the ceremony officially began. Zoe beamed. She felt more triumphant than ever, especially now that she was convinced Emma was probably dead. It was perfect. Just before she stepped on stage, her birth mother, Amelia, the Song family's nanny, approached and gripped her hand, pride shining in her eyes. My daughter really is brilliant. Don't forget, once you get control of those shares, start quietly moving the Song family's assets. They still don't know the truth, that Emma's adoptive family lived well because the money they used came from selling her. Zoe pulled her hand back, glancing sharply at Amelia. I told you not to act too close to me here, but it won't be long now. Once I re-enter the Song family for good, and win Samuel's heart, I'll be the richest woman in City J. Mom, make sure you keep eyes on every train station and airport. Emma must never come back. It's best if she dies out there. Just as she finished speaking, the MC called her name. Zoe lifted her gown and walked proudly onto the stage, preparing to accept her glory. But just then, a harsh spotlight fell on her. The grand doors of the banquet hall burst open. Before anyone could react, the white walls lit up with a video projection, and in the very first frame, Zoe was seen clinging to Amelia's arm, calling sweetly, Mom. Chapter 14. The video clearly showed the Song family's villa in the background. Amelia wore a nanny's uniform. Zoe was in a lavish princess dress. That one word, Mom, stunned the entire room, especially Song Madam and Oscar, who were seated backstage, watching joyfully just moments ago. And what came next shattered their world. Emma's back now. What do we do? You should have strangled her in the cradle. Amelia's voice. I told that family not to feed her properly. Told them to beat her often. She nearly died after being thrown into an icy pond in winter. That's how her heart got damaged in the first place. I thought that little wretch would die for sure. But she came crawling back to City J. She thinks she can reclaim her life? Over my dead body. Song family has one daughter, Zoe. That stupid girl still calls me Zhang Ma. And the Songs? Fools! They didn't even recognize their own daughter. Then Zoe's own voice, bubbly and sweet. Mom, I want to travel abroad for a few years. Please convince my foster parents I'm suffering outside. Amelia replied fondly. My silly girl, why leave? City J is so much better. Zoe giggled, blushing. Mom, you don't understand. Foreign guys are tall and hot. I want to have a few fun romances before marrying Samuel. The screen shifted to footage of Zoe living it up abroad, drinking, partying, kissing male models. Zoe's brain went numb. Her knees nearly buckled. She tried to stop the video, but her feet wouldn't move, as if nailed to the floor. Who exposed all of this? Then came another cut, Samuel interrogating the gangster. The thug's confession. We didn't kidnap Miss Song. She gave us $5 million to help her stage the scene. Even the recent kidnapping, it was fake. She wasn't hurt. The blood? Fake too. She promised me $80 million if I could sleep with Emma and spread word that she was a cheap slut. But we didn't even get the chance. You caught us first. Before the gangster could finish, the video showed Samuel kicking him across the room. Zoe's eyes widened in horror. She tried to flee, to explain, but every eye in the room turned toward her. They were whispering, judging, condemning. She couldn't breathe. And then, Samuel stepped forward, out of the shadows, into the spotlight. Zoe instinctively reached out, her voice trembling. Samuel, it's not what you think. It's Emma. She set me up. But she never finished her sentence, because just then, Madame Song and Oscar marched through the crowd. When Madame Song saw Zoe, her eyes turned red with fury. She raised her hand and slapped Zoe across the face with all her might. You filthy, disgusting snake. You're the shameless one. Give me back my daughter. Give me back Emma, my real daughter. Chapter 15. For the first time ever, the elegant Madam Song exploded in public, screaming and striking Zoe, demanding she give Emma back. From backstage, Amelia finally realized what was happening. Grabbing a broom, she stormed onto the stage. "Who gave you the right to hit my daughter? You filthy woman! Get away from my Zoe!" "Emma wasn't driven away by my daughter, it was your own stupidity. You were the ones who abused and scolded Emma. You pushed her away. I've worked in the Song family for years, I've seen it all. You treated Emma heartlessly. Now don't you dare pin your guilt on my daughter. And don't forget, during those years when Zoe was living abroad and Emma came back to visit her birth family, it was you, Oscar, who said a married daughter is like water thrown out, who called her shameless, said she brought misfortune to the family." Every word Amelia screamed was a blow to the hearts of the Song couple. Madam Song couldn't take it anymore. She cried out Emma's name and lunged at Amelia in a fury. Oscar joined in too, giving Zoe 2 loud slaps of his own. Chaos erupted on stage as their perfect image collapsed in front of everyone. Zoe, still clinging to hope, tried to defend herself. "Samuel, we grew up together, you know what kind of person I am." "It was Amelia. She planned everything. I was just a kid, I couldn't control my own fate. Those thugs weren't mine. Emma must have bribed them. You haven't really investigated, maybe she framed me. Emma must be laughing somewhere, she ruined my biggest day." But before she could finish, Samuel's foot slammed into her chest, knocking her to the ground. Zoe gasped, unable to speak, clutching her chest as she stared up at the man she had once deceived, his gaze now cold and violent. "You? Someone like you, a liar, a schemer, how dare you say her name? If not for you and your venomous mother, Emma and I would never have ended up like this. From now on, you will have no more luck, because from now on, you have no future." He turned to his assistant. "Send her to the mountains, the place she should have gone to from the beginning." Zoe's heart froze. She finally understood, Samuel would never believe her again. Falling to her knees, she cried and begged, trying to rekindle old emotions. "Samuel, I did all this because I love you. Emma's just a country bumpkin, she doesn't deserve to be Mrs. N. She can't even have kids now, how could you still love someone like that? I grew up by your side. Forgive me, let me be the one to give you children." She thought Samuel would listen, he always had before. But now, his face only grew colder, his hatred was palpable. Silence her, throw her into the mountains, and before that, soak her in an icy pond overnight. Everything Emma endured, I want Zoe to suffer tenfold. And Amelia, selling a child? Let her rot in prison. Meanwhile, in the southern water town, gentle moonlight bathed Emma's resting form. In her unconscious state, she heard Ryan's voice echo in the void. "Master, our wager, you've won." Chapter 16. Master, I've brought you to a beautiful city, just like you wished. Here, spring lasts all year, and you can begin anew. You're the first person who's ever beaten me in a bet, so I've prepared a surprise for you, but you'll have to find it yourself. In these 5 years, you served countless clients and managed Pawnshop No. 8 with dedication. I've deposited money into your account, enough for you to live a good life. Now, Master, please enjoy a life that belongs to you. Ryan's voice faded. Emma slowly opened her eyes. She was lying on a park bench, beneath a sky full of stars and a glowing full moon. She sat up. Her clothes were spotless, but her body ached, as if something vital had been ripped from her. Then, in the distance, she saw a cream-colored puppy running by. The blank fog in her mind stirred. An inn. It had been killed, but that dog just now, it looked like an inn. Emma's nose tingled. She swore she heard the familiar bark again. She followed the sound, but the dog vanished. "Ryan?" she whispered, but there was no reply. She remembered, she had shut down Pawnshop No. 8 forever. Unless she chose to reopen it, Ryan would remain asleep. But why had she closed it? A flickering shadow crossed her mind, vague, blurry, but it sent a deep pain through her chest. She didn't want to remember. Her hand instinctively pressed against her abdomen. The pain sharpened instantly, and tears streamed down her face. So it was here, the place she lost something most precious. Emma cried silently. When dawn broke, She checked her belongings. Ryan had prepared her a new ID. Her name was still Emma. But she was no longer the Emma of the past. Her account held plenty of money. She used it to rent a small place. And over 2 weeks, she came to terms with her loss. But strangely, she couldn't remember the child's father. Nor could she recall her parents. Every time she tried, a tearing pain would grip her mind. So, she stopped trying. She found peace in flowers and vegetables. Eventually, she bought a small courtyard and turned it into a guest house. Her life became slow, quiet, and pleasant. Yet something always felt missing. She longed to ask Ryan so many questions, but he was silent. Then, 3 months later, after watering her blooming hydrangeas, she heard a bark. A white puppy. Another that looked like an inn. It wagged its tail and barked. As if urging her to follow, she got on her bike and rode after it. It led her to a place called Wish Orphanage, tucked away in Y City. At the gate, Emma stood frozen, watching children playing. The puppy had vanished. Something pulled her forward. She entered. In one corner, a little boy sat quietly, sketching in a notebook. The moment she saw him, Emma froze, her body locked in place. She asked the director, and the woman sighed. This child was born premature, abandoned at our doorstep. He doesn't speak, his vocal cords didn't develop properly. He never told us his name, said his mother would give him one. But he's an orphan, where would he get a mother? What's strange is, he keeps writing the same thing, I'm waiting for my mom to come get me. A jolt of electricity surged through Emma's veins. A tear slipped down her cheek. She looked again at the boy, and then turned to the director. I want to adopt this child. Can I? Chapter 17. The adoption process wasn't complicated, especially for a child with congenital defects. Emma paid generously, not just for the adoption itself but also in the hope that other orphans there could live better lives. The director thanked her repeatedly, but Emma simply waved it off. I don't know why, but just hearing the word orphan hurt so much. It's like, I used to be one too. She didn't want to say more. Holding the adoption papers tightly, she went to find the little boy. He was still quietly drawing when she approached, watching him color with focused care. When she finally saw the complete picture, Emma's heart skipped a beat. Her pulse quickened. The drawing showed a woman cradling a child, the child beaming happily, and the woman's side profile looked exactly like her, as if everything she feared to believe was being confirmed. She reached out her hand to the boy gently. You don't have a name, do you? I've thought of one for you, Luna Bai. Do you like it? I'm adopting you, so I want to give you a name. You know, when I first saw you, it felt like I was seeing my own child. When I woke up, I saw a sky full of stars, but no matter how many stars there are, there's only one moon. I hope you can be my Luna. So, Luna, tell me, have you been waiting for me all this time? The boy's deep black eyes reflected her face. As he stared at her, tears welled up and spilled silently. He didn't even blink. Then, from his damaged throat, came the tiniest rasp of a voice. Ma. Ma. That broken, childlike voice slammed into Emma's heart like a tidal wave. He reached out with tiny hands and gently grasped hers. Mama, finally, waited so long, for you. Hot tears spilled from her eyes as Emma scooped him into her arms, carefully, tightly. She felt the warmth of his body, and as she closed her eyes, tears poured freely. But this time, her tears were sweet. The very first thing Emma did after taking Luna Bai home was spoil him with gifts. She wanted to give him every precious thing in the world. She bathed him, dressed him in clean clothes, and cooked him a meal herself. Luna ate happily. His writing was small but neat. He scribbled in a notebook. It's my first time eating Mama's food. I love Mama. Emma nearly burst into tears again. After their meal, she immediately took him to the best hospital. The doctors said there was hope. With long-term treatment, Luna might grow up like any normal child. It took a year, but Emma had Luna now. Her life felt whole again. The pain that once haunted her every night faded with each passing day. One early morning, sunlight streamed into the room through the balcony. Luna lay in her arms. His eyes were wide and bright. His cheeks had filled out, rosy with joy, and for the first time, he spoke a full sentence. Mama, you know, back when I was in the sky, I saw you. All the other kids tried to grab you, But I won. You became my mama. But I had to wait 5 years before I could finally be close to you. Just as I was about to arrive, they told me to wait again, so I waited and waited until finally you came. Morning sunlight warmed his baby face. And in that moment, Emma finally understood what Ryan meant by a surprise. She and her son, their bond had existed long before this life. No matter what happened, no matter how far apart, they would always find their way back to each other. Emma felt joy overflowing, but one day, while dropping Luna off at kindergarten, she heard Ryan's voice again for the first time in ages. Master, a new Pawnshop No. 8 has appeared in City J. Its current keeper is using his life as the cost to grant wishes for others. This violates the rules of Pawnshop No. 8. Please, go to City J. Stop him. Chapter 18. Another Pawnshop No. 8? But she had permanently shut it down. Emma asked Ryan who the current owner was, but he refused to say. His actions not only harm himself, they also undermine the fortune and merit accumulated by Pawnshop No. 8 over the years. Please, stop him. City J was 3 hours away by plane. Emma didn't want to leave Luna behind, but luckily, summer break was only days away. The day after break began, she boarded a plane with Luna to City J. She assumed finding the new pawn shop would be difficult, after all. She had kept hers hidden for years. But the moment she stepped off the plane, she overheard people gossiping. You heard? That shopkeeper's insane. After his wife disappeared a year ago, he went nuts. First, he drowned a woman named Zoe for 10 days, then dumped her in the mountains and had her flogged daily, and streamed it live. That's nothing. He sent an old nanny to prison too. 30 years wasn't enough. He made her kneel in the yard every day, confessing her crimes. Turns out, she sold his wife to a mountain village years ago. So, where's his wife now? No one knows. He's searching, her family's searching, but after more than a year, there's still no sign. I mean, if they'd treated her better before, do you think she would have vanished? The crowd laughed. They especially mocked the shopkeeper for pouring all his wealth and health into fulfilling others' wishes. They said he claimed, if I grant 9,999 wishes, my wife will come back. Emma's chest tightened. Beside her, Luna gripped her hand. Mama, after we finish things here, can we go home? I like our home. I don't like it here. Emma nodded. She hailed a car to visit the shop, but was shocked to learn that in City J, everyone now knew the new Pawnshop No. 8 and its crazy shopkeeper. The driver scoffed. A total lunatic. They say it's cursed. Emma finally understood why Ryan urged her to return. This was not what Pawnshop No. 8 was meant to be. Curious, she asked, do you know his name? How many wishes has he granted so far? Almost all of them. I think. His name's Samuel. Used to be big in the City J business world. Now, nearly bankrupt. Emma stopped asking. When they arrived, there was a crowd at the door. It was the very same address where she had once run her own pawn shop. People were shouting. He's at 9,998, just one more, and he suddenly shuts the shop? What a letdown. I had my wish ready, wanted $1 billion from him. He used to be my brother's business rival. I even planned to make him bark like a dog. Forget it. That lunatic's gonna kill himself any day now. One by one, the crowd dispersed. Only Emma and Luna approached. As the door opened and someone stepped out, their eyes met hers. In that instant, Samuel felt his heart ignite, like fireworks exploding behind his ribs. His bloodshot eyes filled with tears as he looked at her, truly looked at her. Emma! You came back. I knew you would. Please, this time, don't leave me again. He rushed forward, arms outstretched, but Luna stepped in and shoved him away, standing protectively in front of Emma. Who are you? Don't touch my mama. Chapter 19. When Samuel saw the boy, barely up to his waist, his expression flickered with surprise. But what stunned him more were the words Emma spoke next. Do you know me? You know about my shop. You're occupying this space. Were you one of my former clients? What did we trade? Each word pierced Samuel like a blade. His face turned grim, his eyes full of wounded disbelief. He couldn't speak. Emma pulled Luna close, her expression blank, even indifferent. I'm here to shut down the pawn shop. You shouldn't have opened it without permission. If you refuse to close it, I'll call the police for illegal occupation of my property. Samuel's face twisted in anguish. His lips curled into a bitter smile. He choked on the word husband, unable to say it aloud. He had waited so long for this moment, and now he could only stammer out explanations. Emma, please, listen to me. I punished everyone who hurt you, even your parents. I made them pay. They regret everything now. They burn incense and pray for your return every day. And me, I was wrong. I shouldn't have made that trade. I shouldn't have let anyone hurt you. Every day without you has been torture. I've searched the world like a madman, but I couldn't find you. If you hadn't come today, I would have taken my life. Tears rolled down his face. I found out everything. It was Zoe. Last time she tried to escape, she fell off a cliff. By the time someone found her, it was too late. She lost her legs. She'll never stand again. It's karma. She framed you, deceived me into thinking you owed her. If not for her, I never would have traded your child, your love. It's all my fault. Please, Emma, please forgive me. Just one chance. I'll make Zoe suffer even more. Emma interrupted coldly. So you were one of my trading clients. Then consider our deal complete. And let me remind you, there's no such thing as regret in this world. Every trade I made had a 3-day window for reversal. Her eyes stared into his. 3 days. I'm sure I begged you. Again and again. But not once did you waver. So tell me, why should I forgive you now? Samuel's pupils shrank. He hadn't expected her memory to be wiped so thoroughly. As she turned to leave with her son, he suddenly dropped to his knees with a loud thud. Emma, maybe forgetting is good. We can start over. Make new memories. But this time, I won't let you go again. With a signal, the bodyguards guarding the pawnshop stepped in, blocking her path. Samuel's voice was hoarse and shaking. I imagined this moment so many times. I won't let you leave me again. Emma wasn't angry. Her face showed no emotion. But Luna puffed up, furious, and stepped between them. My mama's doing just fine now. She doesn't want to be here. She doesn't even know you. If you make a mistake, don't make it worse. Even I understand that, and I'm just a kid. Samuel stared at the boy in despair. Emma, are you married? Do you remember, we once had a child? But, he's gone now. At those words, something shattered inside Emma. Pain exploded in her head, and she collapsed. Chapter 20. When Emma opened her eyes, she was greeted by red decorations. She sat up, taking in the red double happiness symbol plastered on the walls. A wedding room? Her clothes hadn't changed, but Luna was nowhere in sight. As she searched for him, the door opened. Samuel walked in, holding a bowl of steaming soup. He sat beside her, his voice low and husky. Your favorite soup. I promised you, as long as you wanted it, I'd keep making it even when my hair turned white. You weren't here this past year, but I didn't let my cooking get rusty. I waited for this moment to make it for you again. Let me feed you, just like before, okay? His eyes pleaded with her as he lifted the spoon, but Emma swatted it away. Her eyes burned with anger. Her voice trembled. Where's my child? What did you do with him? The room fell silent. Samuel lowered his gaze. Slowly, he pulled out a clean spoon and tried again. He's fine. He's happy. I checked. He's not your biological child. You haven't remarried. You're still single. His tone was cheerful, hopeful. I like him. Really. He looks just like you. Let's treat him like our lost child. Give him a real home. I'll teach him to read, to speak French, to race cars. I'll take you both traveling. He'll be our son. I'll raise him with you, grow old with you. His words painted a beautiful future. But Emma remained unmoved. She cut in coldly. I don't know you. I don't want to stay here. I just want to be with my child. Where is he? And let me be clear, we will never have a family, because I don't need one with you. Samuel's eyes turned crimson. Tears streamed down without warning. Do you really have no feelings left for me? Have you forgotten everything? He reached out and pressed his hand over her heart. Inside your body is my heart. This is my heartbeat. My love. How can you forget it? You saved me in City J, remember? The car crash? I gave you my heart so you could live. I climbed 1,000 steps at Cold Mountain Temple to pray for you. We got married. We were so happy. How can you forget something that's carved into my bones? Samuel spoke wildly. Almost incoherently, he looked ready to rip his own chest open just to show her. His madness and yearning flooded the room, but Emma's eyes were calm, detached. You say you loved me so much, then why did you believe Zoe so easily? Why did you trade me away? When you traded away our child, and my most precious feelings, did you ever imagine the pain you're feeling now? Samuel's last trace of light flickered out. He clutched her hand, his tears scorching hot in her palm. Emma. I'm sorry, truly. Even if you've forgotten, let's start again. We'll make new memories. Fall in love all over again. Emma pulled her hand away. She looked at him and then smiled. I may have lost my memories, but I'm not stupid. What's most precious to a person is their feelings. You say I loved you, but I can't remember anything now. Time doesn't rewind. What's lost, stays lost. You made your choice. Now don't regret it. Samuel looked broken, his world unraveling around him. As he struggled to form a reply, the bedroom door burst open. Luna ran in. Behind him stood an older couple, hair streaked with white. Luna jumped into Emma's arms, clinging to her tightly. Mama, they say they're your parents, my grandparents, but they feel weird. Can we go home now? Chapter 21. The people behind Luna had red-rimmed eyes the moment they saw Emma. Emma looked at them with puzzlement. A middle-aged woman in a designer cheongsam rushed to the bed and hugged Emma tightly as she sobbed. My daughter. Oh, my daughter. You've finally come home. I've been searching for you all year. My heart has been breaking every day without you. Even the man beside her, his wrists adorned with prayer beads, removed his glasses to wipe away his tears. The beads clicked softly, catching Emma's attention. The woman quickly explained, eyes red with emotion. These prayer beads, your father and I prayed for them. For the 450 days you were missing. We offered incense and prayed across countless temples, just wishing for your safe return. We became vegetarians. Your father even knelt for hours in front of a monastery. Every single bead here is for your safety. Tears streamed down her face as she clutched Emma's hand tightly, afraid she'd vanish again. The man moved forward, reaching hesitantly to touch Emma's face but stopped himself, fearing rejection. His voice was choked but gentle. Daughter, will you come home with us? Before Emma could answer, Luna spoke up loudly. Mommy, don't believe them. They're acting weird. This grandpa's name is Oscar, but that's not your last name. How could they be your family? Luna, though only 6 years old, stood tall like a little guardian, shielding Emma from harm. Oscar fumbled for words. That's because your mom doesn't have the same last name as me. So she has her own surname? Like me, Luna Bai? Then what's grandma's last name? Can you even tell my mommy that? Faced with the innocent logic of a child, Song Madam could say nothing. It was Samuel who finally answered. Her surname is Ning. It's not the same as your mom's. Luna frowned, wrapping his arms around Emma protectively. Then how are you her real family? If you were, why would she live so far away from you all these years? I don't believe a word you say. You're lying. Or worse, you hurt my mommy. That's why she left you. Every word out of the child's mouth hit where it hurt most. And those were the exact questions Emma herself wanted answers to. Deep within, she seemed to remember a voice whispering through the darkest nights, stay alive, find your real parents. She had longed for family once, but now, looking at them, she felt nothing. Song Madam cried again, offering a ring. This belonged to your grandmother. You treasured it and always wore it. Emma stared blankly, then asked, if it meant that much to me, why is it in your hands? The ring had been taken back by Song Madam to give to Zoe. The memory of what they had done, allowing Amelia to swap children, condemning their real daughter to a life of hardship, came crashing back with shame and regret. They couldn't fathom how Emma had survived, or how she had returned to City J. Strong and whole, Song Madam was full of remorse, pleading with Emma to come home. Oscar, old and weary, stood by with pain in his eyes, whispering, you wrote in your old journals about everything you wanted to give us. Emma, you're our one and only precious daughter. Please, come home. Emma didn't respond. She simply took the bowl from Samuel's hands and smashed it on the ground. Shards scattered. She said coldly, if you can piece these shards back together, then I'll go home with you. Chapter 22. Broken pieces can't be made whole. The damage done could never truly be undone. Oscar was about to say something when a phone call interrupted. He whispered urgently to Song Madam, both of their expressions shifting. Before leaving, they turned to Emma. "We'll come again tomorrow, to celebrate your birthday, the one we owe you." Once they were gone, Samuel brought another bowl of soup and, like a child showing off, presented a fluffy white dog. The dog, well-fed and lively, wagged its tail excitedly upon seeing Emma, clearly recognizing her face from pictures. Samuel beamed. "See how much it looks like an inn? Let's call him an inn too. Let's raise him together, please?" His voice was gentle, tinged with desperation. He acted as if their past had never been shattered, as if none of the pain, betrayal, or devastation had ever occurred. Emma didn't reach for the dog. Instead, she gripped Luna's hand and stepped back, creating space between herself and Samuel. Looking directly at him, she asked, "Did you love an inn?" Samuel answered without hesitation. "Of course, we rescued him together, raised him. He was family." Emma smiled faintly, bitterly. "Then how can this be an inn?" "An inn was an inn, no matter how similar they look. It's not the same dog." Samuel froze. A moment passed. He finally muttered, "You said that once before." Emma looked into his eyes. "When will you let me go?" Samuel's eyes turned red instantly. He bit his lip to stop from crying. Then a call came, rescuing him from collapse. He answered, his expression darkening quickly. No wonder her parents left so fast. Amelia's escaped prison. Zoe's missing too. "Emma, you can't leave. It's not safe for you." The door slammed shut again. Luna clutched Emma's hand and asked softly, "Mom, can we never go home again?" Emma shook her head. No, there was still one way. After putting Luna to sleep, she summoned Ryan. "From now on, I'll reopen the No. 8 pawn shop for 1 month every year. But Ryan, I want to be the first to make a trade." Ryan hesitated. "What do you want to trade?" "Samuel and my so-called parents, they love me now, don't they?" "Yes," Ryan confirmed. Without blinking, Emma said, "Then I'll trade that love, their love for me, in exchange for my freedom." Ryan paused. "Emma, you've forgotten the past. But I must remind you, family and love were once what you most longed for. Are you sure you want to give all that up? To become strangers? Forever?" Emma's gaze lowered. Then she looked up and nodded firmly. 3 days from now, it ends." She thanked him for the first time. She felt relieved. But that night, as darkness fell, fireworks bloomed outside the balcony. Her name lit up in glowing sparks. "Happy birthday, dearest daughter." Then another burst of dazzling light exploded in the sky. Words appeared. "To my wife, Emma, I will love her forever, never leave her side." Chapter 23. Emma had thought the fireworks signaled the end, but she never expected it was only the beginning. As if to make up for everything, her parents lit hundreds of sky lanterns in the areas she could see. The glowing lanterns floated upward like rivers of starlight. The ones closest to Emma bore handwritten messages. "May our daughter live a smooth life, safe and worry-free. May our daughter be the happiest person in the world. Give our daughter the best. Give her everything. She is more precious than our own lives. Emma, you are our everything." Emma stared at the drifting lanterns, her face expressionless, though deep inside she wanted to ask one thing. If you loved her so much, why did you let her suffer like that? Is love that comes too late still love? What she had once longed for most, she no longer desired. Because footsteps approached from behind. Luna came over with a thin blanket, though not yet tall enough. He jumped up with all his strength to drape it over her shoulders. "Mommy, the nights get chilly. Don't catch a cold. You hate bitter medicine. I don't want you to suffer." He poured her a warm glass of water, handing it over carefully. Then, glancing outside at the floating lanterns, his eyes lit up. Wow, so pretty. But when he read the messages, Luna paused, frowning. These people are weird. If they really cared, why write it on a lantern? Isn't love about actions, not words? Who are they even writing this for? Emma couldn't help but laugh softly. This, she thought, is why I don't need their so-called affection. Because she had a wonderful little son, a sweet, caring boy who took such good care of her. She hadn't planned to dwell on it. But the very next day, She found herself cornered in her room. Stylists and makeup artists flooded in. They dressed her in the most elegant attire. And even Luna was put in a little white tuxedo, his hair styled like a dashing young gentleman. They were taken to a grand banquet hall, already packed with guests. Red rose petals covered the floor. A towering birthday cake stood in the center, surrounded by birthday gifts labeled from age 1 to 26. Oscar and Song Madam approached, asking Emma to accept it all. Samuel too presented a gift, an utterly unique ring. Emma, this is the birthday gift I missed this year. I've made up your past 25 birthdays today. Let your parents show you their love. Before Emma could refuse, they enthusiastically took her hands and led her to center stage. A live band played. Guests offered warm blessings. Luna was surrounded by admiring socialites, cooing over how handsome he was, clearly a Song family child. Luna raised his voice to correct them. My last name is Sure. I'm Mommy's child. I have nothing to do with the Song family. The crowd laughed at his precocious defiance, showering them both with gifts. Meanwhile, a janitor stood by, glaring up at the stage. There, Oscar and Song Madam were helping Emma light the candles. Their eyes glowed with hope and affection. Make a wish, daughter. Whatever you wish for, we'll make it happen. They had made a decision. They would sell their company, their home, and follow her wherever she went. But just then, the janitor lunged forward, wielding a knife. The target, Song Madam's heart. Emma was the first to see it. She instantly shoved Song Madam aside, only for the blade to swing toward her instead. And just before it struck, Samuel appeared, kicking the attacker away. But he hadn't even caught his balance. From the ceiling, a chandelier came crashing down. A scream pierced the air. You all deserve to die. You're all freaks. Crazy. You should all just die. Samuel shoved Emma out of harm's way. The next second, the chandelier smashed into him, and blood splattered all over Emma's face. Chapter 24. Everything happened far too suddenly, so suddenly that it was 6-year-old Luna who reacted first. Lock all the doors. Catch the one who just shouted. Startled, Oscar quickly snapped into action too. He called the bodyguards, ordered an ambulance, and rushed to check on his wife and daughter. Song Madam was too overwhelmed to even speak, because when the attacker was subdued and her mask removed, it turned out to be Amelia. She hated the Song family to the core. Her carefully planned scheme had failed, and now she wanted nothing but to drag Song Madam down with her. And in that life or death moment, it was Emma who had saved her. Song Madam wept uncontrollably, calling out Emma's name as she tried to embrace her, but Emma stepped away. Luna came running, crying, afraid his mother had been hurt. Thankfully, she was unharmed. The only one seriously injured was Samuel. Out of reason and decency, Emma had to go see him. But just as she turned to leave, her mother's voice stopped her. Emma, you still love your mother, don't you? Otherwise, why would you risk your life to save me? Emma didn't hesitate. It's not like that. I simply didn't want to owe you the debt of giving birth to me. And just now, I've paid it in full. From the moment I entered the Song family, you never truly accepted me. Otherwise, why would I still bear this name? Earlier, when you both urged me to make a birthday wish, mine was this, that my life would have nothing more to do with you. And with that, Emma left. She held her son's hand, changed back into her clothes, and didn't look back once. They all knew they had lost their daughter forever. At the hospital, the police were already investigating. It turned out Amelia and Zoe had planned everything to burn the whole house down with everyone inside. Amelia was arrested. Zoe had someone set fire to the Song family villa. They'll both be prosecuted. Amelia's charges are severe. She'll likely face the death penalty. As for Zoe, crippled, decaying from infection, reeking, no one knows what horrors she's endured. Another officer added somberly. Heard she was abused by her foster family. Disgusting. What a shame. Emma remained silent. When the police asked if she wanted to visit Amelia or Zoe, she shook her head. Instead, she waited for Samuel. His surgery was successful, but he lost his left pinky. Thankfully, his injuries weren't life-threatening, but when he was wheeled out, his pale face was haunting to look at. The surgeon couldn't help but comment. Stubborn guy. Refused anesthesia, said only physical pain could dull the ache in his heart. Emma glanced at him. Samuel was drenched in sweat. His lips cracked from pain, but when he saw her, they parted. Emma, did you know? When I gave you my heart 6 years ago, I didn't take anesthesia either. I'm allergic. I felt my chest being torn open, but even that couldn't suffocate me. The thought of losing you, that made me wish I could die. He let out a bitter smile. She remembered how, back then, she'd held him tightly after that surgery and wept for him. But now, her eyes were devoid of pity. Emma, Samuel asked weakly, you really don't love me anymore? Before she could answer, he murmured, I deserve this. I took your most precious feelings, it's all my fault. His body went limp against the pillows, his face a mask of despair. Go, he whispered, I'll carry the pain alone. Emma stood. She took her son's hand. As they left, she offered one final sentence. You won't feel pain for much longer, because in 2 days, their emotional ties would be severed. Everything would end. Emma returned to their little home with Luna. Years later, one May, when the Pawnshop No. 8 reopened for its annual month of business, Emma encountered a homeless man. He couldn't speak, but he handed her a photo of a much younger Emma. Then he passed her a slip of paper. I want to trade my life for her lifetime of peace. He didn't remember who the woman in the photo was, but he knew she was his obsession. Emma refused the trade, gently, but firmly. We don't accept lives in exchange. After he left, Emma finished serving her last customer for the day. She shut the shop, preparing to pick up her son. That's when she heard Ryan's voice again. Samuelin has taken his own life. In death, he wished only for one thing, that in his next life, you would know nothing but happiness. Emma didn't speak. A single tear slid down her cheek. But then, from behind her, a bright little voice called, Mommy! Luna was running toward her, beaming, holding a bouquet of white daisies in his tiny hands. Emma wiped away the tear, and smiled. Life is always about moving forward. Never look back with regret. In the golden light of the setting sun, in that beautiful little town, Emma took her son's hand and stepped into a brand new life.